Affairs Minister acknowledges need to monitor influx of foreign workers. Manus Governor says no guarantee of safety for refugees. And PNG Customs launches new container examination facility.
This is National MTV News with Helen Sayer.
Good evening. This is Thursday's news. Thanks for tuning in. Foreign Affairs Minister Rimbing Pato says there is a need to monitor the influx of foreigners working in the country. Minister Pato says the state agencies will work together to address this issue. Pato made these statements following a series of questions from Nuku MP Joe Sungi in Parliament today.
Nuku MP Joe Sungi says over the past 5 years, there is an influx of foreign nationals employed in rural areas of the country. Questioning Foreign Affairs Minister Rimbing Pato, MP Sungi queried if the process of screening of working visas and citizenship was still intact.
Start lo Port Moresby, Ley, Hagen, Medeng, Ogota Habiko as far as district level, na segi mogota paper blow whether only Sawelong English, only Sawelong talk fishing, only Sawelong Tlagota talk place or no god.
The Nuku MP said the rate of foreign employment in small trading stores is widespread and adding to the growth of unemployment in the country.
Because of this position, on this work here, and a lot of the line come to work long. So, Mr. Speaker, I'm asking Minister, suppose I got some plan when the Poroman Minister Blong Labor, only can put in some control system on the helping police, na army.
Responding in a short statement, the Foreign Affairs Minister identified the lack of consistent monitoring by state agencies.
I am myself not sure as to what has happened of the task force that was established to inquire into these matters, and I will have a look into it, get appropriate advice from the department. I think it's a work that must begin immediately, because this is a concern. I think we can see it everywhere in our country.
Minister Pato says Police, Labour Department, Defence and Customs will be called to review its policies to stop this concern.
So that we can take collaborative steps to make sure that we deliver this to our people, because it is a matter of serious concern.
Jack Lapava Jr., National MTV News.
Manus Governor Charlie Benjamin says there is no safety guaranteed for refugees held in Manus. The Manus Governor questioned Foreign Affairs Minister Rimbing Pato today in Parliament if proper procedures could be followed to dismantle the camps in Manus.
Concerns of the actions by refugees in Manus have again hit the floor of Parliament for the second time this week. Today, the Manus Governor told Parliament Manus people are fed up with what refugees are doing outside the camp.
So tete me like talk sabe also mi bla inon nab guarantee me as governor inon nab guarantee mo mi want more people blo mi allow more so many hambak pai team emtaso. Whenever I walk him lo make so all stop inside lo displabani suppose I got some la kind lo stop in a walk him inside lo power blo you na inside lo government blo me.
On 26 April 2016, the Supreme Court ruled the detention center illegal and unconstitutional. Since then, the government ceased all operations at the Lombrum camp. But Manus Governor Charlie Benjamin says refugees are out causing problems in Manus.
But you miss sabe ka tubla has ting tasol lo come out lo camp. Itubla tasol one bla em lo paini Mary. Number 2 lo painim drugs. Na involve lo homebrew, meaning inokat reason lo come outside. But law Supreme Court it all same only must no all must stop inside lo all no can stop inside lo panus na display it come up in problem.
Minister responsible Rimbing Pato says the Chief Migration Officer will be flown to Manus next week to assess the camps. Pato says steps taken by the department and state agencies must comply with the Supreme Court ruling.
To establish whether or not, to what extent we're complying with the court orders, whether people who should be in the center, that should not be moving on and about, are in breach of any orders or any directions that the government has given or the Papua New Guinea Citizenship and Immigration Authority has delivered to them.
In the past 3 months, refugees in Manus have caused a number of crimes, including public drinking, being in possession of marijuana and homebrew equipment, and the alleged rape of a local woman recently. Jack Lopave Jr., National MTV News.
Details of the arrangement to build military barracks in Kairuku Central Province came under scrutiny in Parliament this morning. Questions on the amount of money paid and the consultation process followed to acquire the land were raised with Defence Minister Fabian Pock.
A 61 million Kumul consolidated holdings.
The queries were first raised by Lay MP Lujaya Koza, who questioned the amount of money used to pay for the land, the title of the land and the size that was being taken.
What is the exact amount paid for the land? Is it 61 million or 50 million or what is
Defence Minister Dr. Fabian Pock said the new site is planned to host the relocated Taurama Barracks, the engineering battalion from Lay and the Lankron Naval Base. While Dr. Pock mentioned that an initial 50 million kina was allocated to purchase land, he did not confirm that that was the amount used to purchase an initial 300 hectares.
So NEC in its decision decided to allow us, IPBC, to help purchase the land that the Defence Force wants and to devolve this land, help devolve this land.
Another point of contention was raised by the member for Kairuku Hiri, Peter Isoaimo.
Now how you go ahead long kism try pla ground too much long electorate from me. Is indeed land grabbing by government this time. One of my visits with my governor to Manu village, all people give him petition, long give him long government, long stop him this process. All people from me by go away. You have villages of Pino, Magabaira, you know, Manu, all get a stop inside. In fact, ground me play here mark him long agricultural lease.
Ground, you know, some traditional land, customary land. I mean, awesome. He got title long, and so that's why place like Manu and all these places. It is of strategic interest to the nation because it is very close to Papua gas pipeline, Papua LNG. It is very close to the pipeline. It is where most of the assets for the country where Yunogara got benefit long and is stop close to. That is some of the reasons why only welcome decision which they did for us to acquire this land. But if there is a you got problem, we can all sit down and walk through it again. You see, but the most important thing is all ground here I got title long end. That is why. If people are living on the land, then they're illegally living on land owned by somebody else, according to Papua New Guinea law.
Member for Sumkar, Ken Fairweather, questioned the logic behind paying millions of kina on state land.
I can't, if it's state land, who are we paying the 50 million to, or the 60 million, or whatever it is?
I don't know. Because I wasn't involved. You have to ask the people in the Lands Department, the Department of Defense, and the people in IPBC who worked on this. And the Defence Force.
Minister for Lands, Benny Allen, who was seated next to Dr. Pock, did not join the debate to clarify who the payment was made to and if the Defence Force already have the title to the land they have purchased. Sarah Aupong, National MTV News.
Also in Parliament today, Opposition Leader Don Pollier raised several questions about the printing of the ballot papers and questioned the integrity of the Electoral Commissioner, Patilius Gamato.
Mr. Pollier questioned the ties of the Indonesian company contracted to print the ballot papers, the process used to award the contract, and specifically about printing company Trade Print and its association.
Trade Print was finally awarded the contract to print ballot papers, who then subcontracted to Kura Print, a group of printing companies in Indonesia. The costing excuse to print ballot papers outside of Papua New Guinea given by the Electoral Commission has been clearly rebutted by the government printers, the former and the current printer.
I am not aware whether Trade Pacific is an agent for the Indonesian company here in PNG. As I said on Tuesday, this particular contract did not come to Cabinet. It was not advertised by Cabinet and agencies of government. It was done by the Electoral Commissioner himself and the Electoral Commission. We have had a caucus meeting. I've asked every member of our party, do they have any association with that company? Not one single association, Mr. Speaker.
His other questions were about the independence of the electoral process, focusing on the electoral commissioner.
The erratic behavior of the electoral commission, the commissioner is a sign of weakness and can be easily manipulated by outside influence or rogue elements. Prime Minister, it might make you angry. Can you confirm that your government is manipulating and influencing the Electoral Commission to act in this erratic behavior?
Talking about the Constitutional Office, Mr. Speaker. Constitutional Office, and we're talking about a person who has got a very distinguished public service record. Distinguished. Of many years of service to this country without any bad record whatsoever. No political affiliation whatsoever. Appointed by a committee which includes a lot of us, you and me and others. Yes, through ministerial responsibility, I have carried over the Electoral Commission and the other constitutional offices through the Prime Minister's office. But I did not give him directions. He does not report to me. He reports straight to a written report, which goes to Cabinet, and then I table it on the floor of Parliament.
At a recent press conference to announce the printing of the ballot papers, Electoral Commissioner Patilis Gamato said that the Indonesian printer had a local partner.
Around December, the Central Supply and Tenders Board approved Trade Pacific to print and supply through their partners overseas. So their partners overseas is Pura Group of Company from Indonesia.
Sarah Aupong, National EMTV News.
You're watching EMTV News. Bougainville looks at building climate resilience. PNG Customs launches new shipping container facility, and Chuka Industries partners with police. We'll have that and more when we come back. Welcome back. A memorandum of understanding was signed today between the Climate Change and Development Authority and the autonomous Bougainville government. The signing makes way for the implementation of PNG's strategic program for climate resilience called Building Resilience to Climate Change in PNG. Secretary for the Department of Community Governance and District Affairs in the autonomous Bougainville government, Wesley Kennett, said the project is timely as rising sea levels is a real problem for atoll communities in the autonomous region.
The Building Resilience to Climate Change in PNG, or BRCC, is a $27 million pilot program that the CCDA is implementing over 6 years from 2016 to 2021. The aim of the BRCC is to mainstream climate resilience into development plans to address country priorities which focus on vulnerable communities. It will be piloted in island and atoll communities in Manus, Milne Bay, Morobe, East New Britain, and the autonomous region of Bougainville.
Basically, what this MOU means is it enables CCDA to work closely with the autonomous region of Bougainville.
ABG Secretary for the Department of Community Governance and District Affairs, Wesley Kenneth, said with the well-known case of the Carteret Islands and other atoll communities, climate change needs to be addressed and is a priority of the ABG.
ABG goal for climate change is to adapt the regional impacts of climate change on Bougainville and contribute to global efforts to abate greenhouse emissions.
The BRCC covers 3 components, including vulnerability assessments and adaptation plans developed for target communities, sustainable fisheries and food security investments piloted in selected communities, and enabling framework for climate-resilient infrastructure and early warning communication network extended.
The BRCC project in particular is one of the main adaptation projects that we are now working on with the ratification of the Paris Agreement last year by Parliament. This year marks the next stage, which is implementation.
The BRCC is funded through a grant from the Climate Investment Fund to the government of PNG through the Asian Development Bank. CCDA Acting Managing Director Ruel Yamuna said the first quarter of 2017 is dedicated to developing and building strategic relationships between all stakeholders to enhance stronger collaboration. Deli Waigeno, National, MTV News.
Papua New Guinea has become the first developing nation in the Pacific region to build a container examination facility with advanced technologies installed. The facility is owned and will be operated by PNG Customs to monitor all imports into the country. The investment is aimed at improving national security and to minimize the number of counterfeit or prohibited items that may be smuggled into PNG.
The facility is located at the Ketten Brothers dockyard outside Port Moresby. It took the national government almost 7 years to build at a cost of 50 million kina. PNG Customs Commissioner Ray Paul said the facility will cut down the amount of time customs officers take to do manual checks. Thus, he is expecting the facility to process at least 40 containers in a day, but challenged customs officers to look after the facility.
The challenges that we will face from here on with this new facility is the upkeeping of this facility, is the sustainability of this facility.
The examination facility contains inspection rooms and check stations where scanning of containers can be done, all with the click of a button. However, if customs officers find prohibited items, they have the powers to conduct thorough checks on the entire container. Treasury Minister Patrick Purites and Finance Minister James Marape were given a tour of the facility during its launch today. After formal speeches, a ribbon was cut to mark the official opening of the facility. The launching of this container examination facility marks a new benchmark for PNG Customs. This facility will be used to examine all containers that come into the country. Now a similar facility is expected to be built in Lae. Tekla Gunga, National, MTV News.
9 families living in a rental property at the 3 Mile settlement escaped death after a large tree fell on their house in the early hours of this morning. About 30 people, including children, lived in the rental house. Property owner Thomas Cornelius said strong winds last night caused the tree to fall.
Thomas Cornelius is a contractor attached with the Lae City Council and owns this property. Cornelius says there were strong winds around 4 o'clock this morning that had caused this tree to fall on his house while his family and tenants were sleeping. They were all lucky no one got hurt. However, his dump truck and part of his house were damaged. The truck parked in front of his house saved about 30 people, including children, who were sleeping inside the house and prevented what could have been a tragedy. Meanwhile, Morabe's disaster office says families of people who are involved in such minor cases should make a report and report to the Lae District Office. The Lae District Office will then notify the disaster office of the incident. Mata Lewis, National, MTV News, Lae.
The Royal Papua New Guinea Constabulary has a police force close to 6,500 personnel. However, it is not enough to control law and order around the country. Police Commissioner Gary Baki made these remarks this morning at the signing of a Memorandum of Understanding between the RPNGC and Trukai Industries. The MOU is for the establishment of a reserve police unit within the company.
The signing of the Memorandum of Understanding between Chukai Industries and RPNGC will assist in extending police presence around the country. Police Commissioner Gary Bucky says the MOU will have personnel available and will assist in general law and order operations.
The reason why we're doing this is it's in two folds. One is to have police quite visible in those areas to assist as and when there is a requirement for them to deal with a situation. And secondly, we want to confine it specifically to those agencies so it's easy for us to maintain and to look at and assist. But sometimes we will have to pull your reservists out of the ambit of way they work, particularly within the confines of the company requirement.
Chukai Industries Chief Executive Officer Greg Worthington Eyre has confirmed that 8 employees have already been selected to fully train to become reservist police officers. These employees will have all powers and functions as regular police officers and will be stationed specifically within the company. The MOU allows for only up to 25 officers.
Obviously there's a key selection process which your department will take the lead in. And ensure that we're selecting the right people, because the integrity of the two organisations as they come together must be protected through this MOU as well.
Employees will remain as Chukai Industry staff, however, they will still report to a PPC where they will be stationed. Training will commence after the selection process is complete. Meanwhile, Commissioner Bucky says similar MOUs with other companies will be done in the following weeks. Marilyn Diaukatam, National EMTV News.
Chukai Industries has had a number of opportunities to engage with the government to understand a way forward following the rice policy that Cabinet is yet to make a decision. Recently, Chukai has made a number of submissions to the Prime Minister, Agriculture and Livestock Minister and the Minister for Trade, Commerce and Industry on commercial rice development projects. Chukai Industries Chief Executive Officer Greg Worthington Eyre reiterated that if the rice quota comes into play, it will impact Chukai tremendously. He described it simply by saying that Chukai will shut down.
Rice development projects of a commercial nature in Papua New Guinea that Chukai is prepared to engage in. One of those is in the Sepik region, and we're in discussions about other areas, particularly in the Markham Valley, but also in other locations for large-scale commercial rice production.
And now looking at our finance news, the kina closed unchanged at $0.3150 in the interbank market. At Bank South Pacific, your kina was buying $0.3075, $0.4032 Australian dollars, $0.2837 euro and 34.59 Japanese yen. Looking at commodity prices at New York close, gold and cocoa closed lower, coffee and copra closed higher. Palm oil closed lower, while crude oil and copper closed the day higher. And on the stock market, the Dow Jones closed at 155 points higher, the ASX closed at 21 points higher, and the All Ordinaries closed at 19 points higher. You're with Thursday's news. In stories after the break, MPs learn about the importance of maternal health, UN launches Youth Champions for SDGs, and PMV operators worried about the state of Waubulolo Highway. Stay tuned. Welcome back to the news. Four young Papua New Guineans have been nominated by the United Nations in Papua New Guinea as Youth Champions for Sustainable Development Goals. The Youth Champions for SDG is a new initiative launched by the UN to promote and raise awareness on SDGs. The 4 Youth Champions are Lydia Diemokari, Nathan Gary, Frida Joseph and Raylan Smesa.
Yesterday, during the press conference, each leader spoke of their roles in their communities to see positive changes. Using their own initiatives, the young leaders have developed projects engaging with their communities.
It doesn't take really like big things. Small things that we could do really can improve other people's lives. And being innovative and thinking about ways, looking at available resources.
So far, Most have seen progressive changes in their communities and are happy to work along with youth to bring sustainable changes.
So while doing that last year in 2016, I got the youths and we engaged in establishing the PNG Youth Day, which was first of its kind.
Now with recognition by UN in PNG, the young leaders will be given the exposure to regional and international conferences to equip them with new knowledge, ideas and initiatives to empower their leadership roles. UN Resident Coordinator Roy Trivedi said the 4 young leaders have already effected remarkable changes and will continue to take the lead to help and inspire many more youths in PNG.
I talk about being the change that you want to see in this world. And these 4 people actually express themselves.
The 4 youth champions for SDG are the first batch in this initiative and will work closely with the UN in PNG to support them in their roles. Mari Kauna, National, EMTV News.
PMV operators working between Wau, Bulolo and Manyama district want the government to upgrade and maintain the highway before more serious damage is done to the road. Their concerns are in response to the recent Timini Bridge that was washed away by heavy flooding on Sunday night. The bridge links people from 3 districts of Morobe province and its collapse has affected both the commuters and businesses.
PNV bus operators working between the Waubulolo and Manyamya districts of Morobe province say they need the road upgraded and maintained now than later. This bridge serves thousands of people, including major businesses. Yet little attention has been given to get the road fixed. A frequent commuter, Shadom Gao, says road infrastructure is an important part of the development in this part of Morobe. It is a daily struggle not only in UN district but in almost all of the other districts in the province. Gao says the collapse of the bridge has also highlighted the need for increased mobile network coverage in the districts. Natural disasters happen unexpectedly, and thus it is important that there is network for people to call in order to get help. Operators want the government to fix the economic highway so that businesses and commuters can return to business.
Provincial Police Commander Agustin Wampe says the bridge was opened last night but for only light vehicles to use. The Works Department is now working to fix the bridge so that heavy vehicles can also use the bridge. Police are at the area to provide security to commuters traveling to and from Ley. Mata Luis, National EMTV News, Ley.
The roles of village courts and police are important when it comes to handling juvenile cases. This was highlighted by Miriam Dondo, coordinator of cross-cutting issues with village courts and Land Mediation Secretariat under the Justice and Attorney General's Department. Our journalist Fabian Hakalets files this report from Buka.
Witnesses of serious crime back in the villages.
Children in villages to come in conflict with the law and are also witnesses and survivors of crime. Her presentation on children and village courts, the imposed penalties and security focused on how best the child can be protected from harm, which is very important.
We have the preventive jurisdiction in village courts where to protect a child who's in danger or to prevent tension between the parties who may have committed an offense and it's involving a child. The protection of the child is much more important, so maybe...
Training is the way forward in this process to ensure village court magistrates are updated with the current government legislations.
When we go out to do training, we tend to train village court magistrates on the changes so they are up to date with the skills and knowledge on how to deal with issues of children and any other matters that come before them.
The workshop generated clearer outcomes where participants pointed out having a fair understanding on the roles and functions of the village courts and police.
For some of them, they just think that they should really work closely
with village courts so that some of the backload of or the cases that are brought before them to the counter can be dealt with village courts than going to a counter where they can deal with the other serious matters.
In Boca, Fabian Hakelitz, National EMTV News.
Turning overseas, Australians came together to celebrate National Day with Indigenous festivities. Australian Prime Minister Malcolm Turnbull also announced the 2017 Australian of the Year recipient.
Australians came together today to celebrate Australia Day, the anniversary of the arrival of the first fleet of British ships in 1788, and the raising of the flag of Great Britain at Sydney Cove by Governor Arthur Phillip.
What a great day. What a beautiful still day here on Lake Burley Griffin, and how the echoes of the guns were heard bouncing off the great institutions of our capital, the Library, the Parliament, the High Court, reminding us of our democracy, the rule of law, those values which we uphold as thoroughly Australian values here in this great land we call home. And thank you too to the Federation Guard and the Royal Military College Band and the sublime songs or music from the choir of Hard Knocks. Thank you, Tina, for your very warm welcome to country. Yungu Galanyin Nalawiri, Daniyi Nunawal Dara. We are gathered on Ngunnawal land, and we acknowledge and honour their elders past and present as we acknowledge our first Australians at more than 400 ceremonies like this around Australia today, receiving 16,000 new citizens from 150 countries.
In a contemporary Australian tradition, Turnbull honoured people who have contributed to society at the annual Australian of the Year Awards the night before. Winner of the 2017 award was biomedical scientist Professor Alan McKay-Sim, whose research has helped restore mobility for people with spinal cord injuries.
I'm so proud and shocked and horrified to be the 2017 Australian of the Year. It's an unbelievable honour, and in accepting it, I want to deeply thank and acknowledge all my friends and colleagues and students, the teams of people who've worked with me. Their late nights, their hard work, their great ideas have led me to stand here in front of you, and I dedicate this to them. Thank you.
In Sydney today, the day began with a traditional Indigenous smoking ceremony as crowds gathered near the iconic Sydney Harbour to watch the ceremony and traditional singing. In the harbour, boats and ferries decorated in Australian flags sailed in celebration. Other festivities included 21 gun salute on Sydney Harbour, and later various concerts and fireworks displays across the country. Nulisi Gaviro, EMTV World News.
You're with EMTV News. Chukai Sport is up next with more PNG Games pressure on provinces and a new look for City Pharmacy PNG Lewis. Stay with us.
Chukai Sports.
Welcome to Chukai Sports. With only 51 days to the 7th BSP PNG Games, the pressure is already on individual provinces to get their teams prepared and ready for competition. Team NCD General Manager Killer Dick said while coaches and officials are trying to gather all athletes, executives are also trying their hardest in making sure that meals, accommodation and logistics are organized. Godwin Eki reports.
With 51 days to PNG Games, and General Team Manager for NCD Kiladik yesterday told EMTV Sports that everyone involved in getting the team over to Kimbe are working hard to making sure that team uniforms, logistics, accommodation, levy fees and local transport in Kimbe are all organized.
You know, I've seen the change in the way host organizing committees have tried to use PNG Games as an opportunity to make money out of the games. And these games, when we are traveling to Kimbe, we've been advised to pay 100,000 kina flat rate for accommodation fees, and 30 kina per head per individual per night. So basically for me it's a lot of money for us to come up with.
Even though PNG Games is an expensive exercise, Kila said Team NCD is determined to take the whole team to Kimbe.
Determined, we are committed to take our team over to Kimbe. Last Saturday we had a meeting with the national various managers, team managers and coaches, and we gave them the ultimatum that they must make sure that they get their teams organized. Our levy fees are 700 kina for all the athletes, and they've got to pay. Deadline is end of this month, so if players or individuals or athletes don't pay, then we have no choice but to drop some of those players.
While the team is participating in 24 different sporting codes, Kila is encouraging all athletes to pay in a percentage they are required to pay to travel to Kimbe.
PNG Games basically, and the concept is for us to recognize and identify grassroots athletes, and these grassroots athletes to be able to rise up to the next level of competition, particularly for the national federations to identify those athletes.
He challenged all NCD athletes to go for gold medal wins in all participating sports and to play hard starting from day one. Godwin Eki, National EMTV Sports.
Kumul Consolidated Holdings World Surf League Championships for Longboard, which is due to take place in March in Tupira, Madang Province, has been described by World Surf League executives Hayden Smith and Steve Robertson as a historic event. Both Steve and Hayden, who were on the ground in Tupira to see the progress of the preparations, connected well with the local land custodians and surfers, whilst being truly overwhelmed by the local culture and tradition of the villages.
After visiting Tupira, World Surf League executives who were amazed by local culture and tradition described the Kumul Consolidated Holdings World Surf League Championships, which is due to start on the 18th of March, as a historic event. Hayden Smith from World Surf League was impressed by how natural and isolated the place looked and the waves that the waters of Tupira provided, not forgetting the young and enthusiastic surfers.
A lot of the kids up in the Tupira village, they surf traditional PNG style balsa wood surfboards, and Surfing Association Papua New Guinea we're going to partner with them to do an expression session where the world's best surfers are going to ride some traditionally shaped Papua New Guinea balsa boards against some of the local kids, and they're bringing in a shaping expert to teach some of the locals how to shape them into functional boards. So there's going to be a lot happening outside of the event that will engage the community and put on a good show for everyone to watch.
Sharing similar acknowledgements was Smith's counterpart Steve, who said World Surf League is also happy to showcase Papua New Guinea to the world.
Kids riding these boards, and let me tell you, they'll give the world's best a run for their money on those boards. It'll be, they were incredible to watch, and yeah, they're very skilled and they're very passionate about the surf up there, and it's great. It's really good to see.
President Andrew Abel thanked Kumul Consolidated Holdings for their support and sponsorship of 1 million kina to make the KCH World Surf League Championships possible to occur on March the 18th.
Platinum sponsorship, naming rights for this inaugural event, which, if I may add, is not a once-off event. This is an annual event. PNG is now part of the World Surf League event. World Tour, as Will Hayden Smith added earlier, they have 150 countries around the world.
Andrew says while the event will become an annual event, shortboard championships will also be organized, including an expression session event. The Kumul Consolidated Holdings World Surf League Championships will start on March the 18th and finish on the 25th. Godwin Eki, National EMTV Sports.
A new year and a new look for the City Pharmacy PNG Lewis, who are aiming to reach new heights. Today, Cricket PNG announced the 14-woman squad, which will be playing in Sri Lanka for the World Cup qualifiers. The lineup is quite different compared to the lot that took out the East Asia Pacific title mid last year.
To be successful in the World Cup qualifiers would mean a debut at the World Cup and acquiring one-day international status at the same time. Unlike the Barramundis, the Lewis do not have ODI status, as the last World Cup qualifiers they attended in 2008 in South Africa did not yield good results, with the likes of Kaya Arua, Tanya Ruma and Noma Ovasuru making a comeback. After a long absence due to personal reasons, coach Rodney Maha is confident with the 14 women's squad, especially now with a blend of more experienced players.
For any team to play well in a tournament this level, you actually need experienced players also in the mix. And it's very important that we also had to bring them back to make sure we had a balanced team. And probably that experience part of it was very, very important. That's why was the reason why also we probably wanted them in the team.
Dodo Lewis will go into the qualifiers well on guard, as their biggest threat will be South Africa. Maha said the team will give it their all so they will not have a repeat of 2008.
We're continuing training. We also have our standards that we have to keep up so that we don't falter along the line. Our fitness is very, very crucial for the duration of the tournament, and team spirit. Probably very important that team spirit is, we have to keep it at a high so that we continue on as a unit in the next couple of days before we travel.
Meanwhile, of the three that made a debut last year in the East Asia Pacific qualifiers, Hinamutawa Philip of Mumbai Cricket made a cut. And Pauke Siaka once again has proven to be the best person for the skipper's job after leading the East Asia Pacific team to a back-to-back win in the Australia Cricket County Championship 2 weeks ago. Cricket PNG will be announcing the travel date in the next few days. Dini Rose Raiko, National EMTV Sports.
You're watching Trukai Sports. We have news on the Coca-Cola Ipatas Cup after the break. Stay tuned.
Trukai Sports.
Welcome back to Trukai Sports. The Coca-Cola Ipatas Cup Southern Leg was launched today in Port Moresby. A total of 24 teams have registered to take part, including an inaugural women's competition.
This year, many teams have registered to take part in the competition, and Southern Leg Tournament Director Simon Maima says it is the largest to date.
Definitely this year is the biggest. So how I squeeze them into the pools to make the pools playoffs, it's a concern to me, but I will manage it, I know.
6 new teams have joined and are hoping to make their mark in the competition. For the first time, a women's division has been included in the Coca-Cola Ipatas Cup.
I have asked for women to, as far as I know, CO is allowed it. CO for the tournament is allowed. And I also permit them, they came on board. I have 4 teams on a list, and I cannot slot them in while the men is playing, because my schedule is very tight.
12 teams from NCD and the other 12 from the Central Region will battle it out starting this weekend at the Connie Tigers Oval. Teams from NCD will go up against each other in one group, and the Central teams will do the same. 2 winners will be declared at the end of the competition, 1 winner from the Central Region and the other from NCD.
Team by playoff full triple game, first, second by advance goal final. So we got 6 days to run in game. This is like weekend, next week. Sunday, one time we will start and continue.
The tournament kicks off this weekend and ends on the 5th of February. Elijah Levet, National EMTV Sports.
The world's fastest man, Usain Bolt, has lost one of his 9 Olympic gold medals in a doping case involving Jamaican teammate Nesta Carter. Carter was tested positive for methylhexanamine, a banned stimulant or energy-boosting dietary supplement, in a reanalysis of samples from the 2008 Beijing Olympics.
Both Carter and Bolt were teammates on the winning 4x100-meter relay team, which also included Michael Frater and Asafa Powell. The Jamaican team is disqualified by International Olympic Committee as of yesterday. The relay title in Beijing completed the first of Bolt's 3 gold medal sweeps. In the 100, 200 and relay, he had 3 straight Olympics. Bolt said it's heartbreaking to find out that Carter had failed a doping test because over the years he had worked hard to accumulate gold medals and work hard to be a champion. But it's just one of those things that happens in life, so when it's confirmed, he won't have problem giving it back. However, Trinidad and Tobago is in line to get the gold medal from 2008. Japan could be upgraded to silver, and fourth place Finnish Brazil could get the bronze medal subject to any further results from the IOC anti-doping retesting program. Shane Saroya, EMTV World Sports.
And that's a wrap on True Kai Sports. Up next, the weather details for the next 24 hours. Stay tuned.
True Kai Sports. True Kai Sports.
The weather details are proudly brought to you by Dulux Weather Shield. Worth doing with Dulux.
Looking at the weather forecast for tonight and tomorrow, in the southern region, cloudy periods with occasional showers and thunderstorms in Port Moresby, rain shower or two with possible thunderstorms in Daru, Kerema, Alotau and Popondetta. In the Momasi region, cloudy periods with occasional showers and thunderstorms in Lae and Madang, and cloudy with a few overnight rain showers in Wewak and Vanimo. In the New Guinea Islands region, brief rain showers in Lorengau, rain showers in Kavieng and Kimbe, rain showers and possible thunderstorms in Kokopo and Rabaul, and a few rain showers and thunderstorms in Buka. And in the Highlands region, rain showers, then morning fog in Mount Hagen, and cloudy with chances of rain showers, then fog developing in Goroka, Kundiawa, Mendi and Wabeg.
The weather details are proudly brought to you by Dulux Weather Shield. Worth doing with Dulux.
Before we go, a quick recap on our main stories for tonight. Foreign Affairs Minister acknowledges need to monitor influx of foreign workers. Manus Governor says no guarantee of safety for refugees. And PNG Customs launches new container examination facility. And that has been the news, sports and weather for tonight. On behalf of the entire news team, I'm Helen Sayre. Pleasant viewing. Good night.